It's Lucy, Animal Behaviour Coach, and I'm here today in Wales with Mandy Price from Do It for David.
That's right.
Could you tell us a bit about what you do, Mandy?
Well, we have a website and a Facebook page where people follow us, and we share ideas on how you can reduce your plastic.
Yeah.
We tell them what products you can buy, where you can get them. We talk about recycling, what you can recycle, what you can't recycle, and we encourage people to pick up plastic when they're going for a walk. And we've arranged beach cleans, street cleans, plastic awareness days. It's just all about education, and I've just recently started going into schools and giving assemblies and talking to the children as well. It's all about education.
Lovely. Now, before we started filming, I asked you why you got into this in the first place, and it's actually quite a recent change in your life.
The plastics is, yes, but I've always loved wildlife. I've always been passionate about wildlife, and Becky too, and that's why she's become an ecologist. But it was after watching Blue Planet 2 and another programme called The Plastic Whale that I realised that there was a huge problem out there. I mean, it is a growing crisis, and one which if we don't address, what is there going to be in the future for our children? So on the 1st of January, that's when I decided to start our campaign.
Okay. Now, I think a lot of people don't understand why they would care about plastics. I think they know it is an issue, but they don't know how it applies to them.
How it applies to them.
So the people who tend to be watching my YouTube and my Facebook, they really love animals. And I think that's the link. So you were saying to me about straws getting up turtles' noses?
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
No, I didn't really know that until 18 months ago when my daughter trialled a campaign, The Last Straw. So plastic straws, they blow in the wind, people drop them, children drop them, they get into the ocean, and they can get up turtles' noses, or they can eat them, and they break down into microplastics. That's the newest thing that I've learnt. So plastic in the ocean is killing the marine life, the fishes. They're eating it for a start, and so you can imagine it's getting clogged up. A turtle, if it eats a tiny little bit of plastic, a turtle is not able to regurgitate like we are. So it will stay in its stomach and it will break down, it will produce gases, and then the turtle floats, it becomes like a balloon. Now a turtle needs to dive down and feed on the seagrass, but if it's floating on the top, it's just going to starve to death. So that's one way that the plastic is killing the wildlife. Another way, of course, is they're getting tangled up in it, in the bags, in the ropes, in the fishing nets, and they're drowning, or they can't fish. And then, of course, we've seen on Blue Planet 2, the birds. The birds are feeding it to their young. Their young are getting clogged up with the plastic. They're starving to death. And then the microplastics, the plastic bottle, what does it matter? It's floating in the sea. But it's going to be there for hundreds of years, so sooner or later it's going to smash against the rocks, it's going to break down into tiny little pieces, and then the fish, the little tiny fish eat it, then the big fish eat them, and then we eat the fish, and then our bodies are filling up with plastic. What is it doing? What are those toxins doing to us? If you don't care about the animals, do you care about what's happening to us?
And some people actually care more about their dog's nutrition than they do about their own, and their dog eats better than they do.
Yeah.
So it sounds that it would get into the dog's system as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it's even been found in the water, hasn't it? So everybody drinks the water, animals included. So
I feed my dog fish, but it's all line caught mackerel and herring.
Line caught. It needs to be line caught. Absolutely.
Yes. Off the Cornish coast.
Brilliant.
So I'm very cautious where I source my meat. So, thinking about pet owners, and you're a pet owner.
I am indeed. Yes.
You have a beautiful dog. I can see him behind the camera.
Yes, he's been good.
Could you tell us about Oscar?
Oscar, Yes, he heard us calling his name. He's half German Shepherd, quarter Malamute, quarter Husky. So he's a big dog, very lively, needs lots of food. So if you're trying to reduce your plastic, obviously, I suppose you would think, oh, tin dog food, but he doesn't like tin dog food. He likes his fresh meat. So we give him raw chicken, but you're able to go to, if you take your own container and you go to the local butchers, you can buy it without getting the plastic. I'm lucky enough, my brother-in-law is actually a chicken wholesaler, so I'm able to go there and get it direct, take my own container, and you don't have to have all that plastic packaging. Then, of course, the dog biscuits. Some dog biscuits come in cardboard packaging. A lot of it comes in plastic bags, which needs to stop. So I've just been looking around, where can I get these biscuits and these dog treats that aren't surrounded in plastic?
Yes. And you've laid out a beautiful table full of non-plastic or plastic alternatives, and I'll make a little video of that and add it in here. Sure.
Plastic, you know, if it's not got these, you know, how you have to have BPA-free drinking bottles for us because it could, you know, put toxins into the water, then maybe it could do the same for your pet. It's chewing on toxic chemicals, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Or if they chew it up, they might accidentally swallow some.
Trying to reduce your plastic consumption with Oscar, and you've also got 2 cats.
I have.
What are the main changes that you've made?
With the cats, I used to feed them in the little pockets, and of course they're plastic, because if I gave them a big tin, you feed them once, they don't eat it all, and then they don't want the rest of it, so you're wasting it. So I used to feed them in the little pockets so that it was a little bit at a time. And then I realised this is generating lots of plastic waste. So I have now gone to the foil tubs and the metal tubs, which can be recycled, but you do need to wash them out.
Oh, do you?
You do, yeah, rinse them out. A little bit of dirt won't hurt, but you should rinse them out, because I went to a sorting centre where they sort out all the recycling and asked them about how we should be recycling our waste, and that's one of the things they said, do wash it out, it makes it more pleasant and doesn't contaminate it.
Okay.
Milk for the cats has been a difficult one, because it seems to upset their stomach if you give them the cow's milk, which we now have delivered by the milkman in glass bottles, but most of the cat milk seems to come in plastic bottles. I have managed to find some that come in a carton, and you can now recycle cartons. With Oscar, basically it's the meat and it's the treats. I've been looking at buying him some treats, so the rice-based ones, the natural meat ones are better. It's just looking for ones that don't come all packaged in plastic.
Yes.
If it's on a bit of cardboard, that's fine, because you can recycle that. And the rope toys that he's got there now, he does like those. And you can, I need to check it on my phone, but there is Zobaflex. Is it Zobaflex? Zobaflex. It's like so you can get bouncy balls.
Okay.
But it's not completely plastic. That's made from rice or something. I've got it on my phone.
I would love to see that.
Check that for you.
So I use a lot of equipment as a dog owner. I've got various leads, harnesses, bowls, toys, and they're all made of...
There's a lot of plastic out there. There is a lot of plastic.
Artificial fabric.
Yes.
I feel kind of stuck on that front, because
it's not.
I've not seen an alternative that's biodegradable.
No. And material is a problem because, of course, you know, what we're wearing and what we're using for the animals, because if you wash it, you've got the microfibres coming off and going directly into the water. So if you've got a toy that needs washing...
I think that's something people don't know about.
No.
Would you explain that?
Well, a synthetic material, like when we're using our fleece, when it goes into the washing machine, tiny, tiny little fibres come off that. And those fibres are not biodegradable. And those fibres go directly into the water, and our system, which cleans our water before it goes into the rivers, into the oceans, doesn't take those out. So those micro fibres end up in the ocean, and over years and years you can imagine there's going to be more and more, and those little tiny microfibres are eaten by the tiny little creatures in the ocean, which in turn get eaten by the bigger ones, and it's clogging the water. It's getting back into our water so that we're drinking it, so that we're giving it to our pets. So what is that? I read somewhere that we are taking longer to biodegrade. When we bury human beings, we are taking longer when we're buried in the ground to disappear as well, because of all the chemicals and maybe the plastic that's going into us as well.
Wow.
So that's something to think about.
Thought.
That is a scary thought, yes. So these fibres, the plastic, it's been around since for 50 odd years, and we're just making more and more and more of it. And it doesn't disappear unless you burn it or reuse it. If you burn it, the toxins are going into the air. Reusing it is the best way. So if we get something that's made from plastic, if it's made from recycled plastic, then at least we know we've stopped that plastic from going into the environment. That's what we need really, is a circular economy. Now at the moment, plastic can only be recycled about 8 to 9 times because the fibres break down, and so you get a plastic bottle and it's recycled. It usually doesn't become another plastic bottle. It might become, you know, the fibres, it might become string, it might become a carrier bag. But there is technology out there that we can reuse it and reuse it. In fact, there is one company that can take plastic and turn it back into oil again, so that you can completely reuse it. And I'm guessing that it's very expensive at the moment, but that's what we need to be doing. Is we don't need to drill for more oil and make more plastic. We need to reuse what we already have, because it is a very versatile, useful material, isn't it?
Well, yes, as soon as you start looking through your household items and thinking, I want to cut down my plastic, you start realising how much there is.
There is a lot of plastic. And, you know, like the phones, the CT scanners, the TVs, our laptops, they've all got plastic in them, and it's necessary. And we're not saying you shouldn't use them. It's the single-use plastics that we need to target first of all, because, you know, you have a coffee cup, one drink, a couple of minutes, gone. What a waste. You think of all the energy, the effort that's gone into making that, and then it's thrown away. But if we then can recycle that, reuse it, then it's not going into the environment, it's not going into landfill, it's not being incinerated, it's not ending up in our oceans.
So, thinking about it, a lot of people will get new equipment, say, for their puppy, and then their puppy will grow out of it.
Yeah.
And it might be about advertising more things on for sale or swap websites. Yes. Maybe people could recycle like that. I think a lot of people just put their dog equipment in the bin when they're done with it.
Yeah. There is a website, Facebook, called Freegal. It is a national organisation. We've got Oswestry Freegal, so you can reuse and recycle that way. So people can say, I've got this, does anybody want it? Does anybody want to buy it? Has anybody got one of these that I can buy? So it's like when you have a baby, and certain things you don't use for very long, but they're still usable, and somebody else can benefit from them rather than throwing them away.
Yeah.
And it's not also about, oh, I've got this plastic thing, so I'm going to throw it away and buy something that's not plastic, because then you're throwing that plastic away.
Yeah.
If you've got it already and you're using it again and again and again, that's fine. Don't just throw it away for the sake of it.
So Oscar has been playing with a recycled ball today when I've come in. He's been bouncing around.
Which he found in the field, and he thought, right, I'm having this, and he brought it back, and so he's had that for a few months now. And, you know, that's fine. I'm not going to get rid of that. He loves that ball.
Yeah.
Eventually, perhaps when it's split in two, then I've got to think about, okay, what am I going to do with it now? Because that can't go into our curbside recycling. You can take some hard plastics to recycling centres, but it's not the same throughout the country. You need to look at what your local authority do. Are you able to take your hard plastics there to be recycled? So like a hard plastic toy, then it could be made into garden furniture.
Okay.
Or plastic netting, something like that. But not everywhere does that, unfortunately, at the moment. So, you know, the governments, councils, manufacturers, retailers and individuals need to look at what they are doing with their plastic, and we need to be more creative, inventive, and there does need to be an investment so that we are using what we've already got, so we don't need to go fracking and make some more plastic and destroy some forest. There's plenty of plastic out there. So let's just keep reusing it.
I have a question. So, is there a way to stop the microfibres leaving your washing machine?
Yes, you can. If you've got synthetic fibres, then you can put it into like a muslin bag, some sort of bag, and when you wash it, then it will catch them. So I don't think it's going to eliminate it completely, but it is going to reduce the amount that is going out there.
Okay. I'm washing a lot of fleece.
Yes.
Yeah.
So put it into a bag, and I would do that. I think ultimately, if we're going to keep using these synthetic fibres, there needs to be within our washing machine, there needs to be some sort of filter that's going to catch it. So if any inventors are out there, I think that's what they need to do.
That would be marvellous.
Put a filter that is going to catch these but they are so tiny, so quite how they would do that, I don't know. But I'm not a scientist, but I'm sure somebody could do it.
Your cats are indoor-outdoor cats, looking at your home setup.
Yeah.
Do they have toilets in the house? I'm curious what you use.
They have got a litter tray which is out there at the moment, just to keep the smell down. But yes, when they're in the house, I bring it in there.
I'm just wondering what you use, because that's...
Yes, so you mean for the litter?
Yeah.
For the litter tray. So I don't know, it's sort of like little absorbent... I don't know what it is, sort of stone stuff.
Okay.
And then when I come to throw it away, it's not ideal. I've got biodegradable bags, which I put it into and put it in the bin. There is a slight problem with that, in that when it goes, biodegradable bin bags go into landfill, they're not really in quite the right conditions to biodegrade, unfortunately. It's better than using a completely plastic bag. What I've started doing with my ordinary bin is I've just stopped using a bag, and I just tip it straight into the bin. So I'm toying with the idea of doing that with the kitty litter. Not sure how the binman would feel about that.
Because I wonder if it would end up stuck around. Yeah.
A little bit.
So I'm using the cornstarch bags. Are those the ones that you mean, the biodegradable ones?
There's different ones that you can get. I think if they're cornstarch ones, I think they will be better. I'm not sure what it just says that they're biodegradable. There are different types of biodegradables. Some, like, you can get oxo-biodegradable. Have you heard about that? So that is a genuine plastic, but it has got a trigger in it, so it's been designed to biodegrade, to break down after a certain time. However, it's not truly biodegrading like the cornstarch will. So it's going to break down and disappear, but what it's leaving behind might be some trace chemicals. So that might be good for certain instances, not for others. I think we need to be using a range. I don't think there's one answer. Biodegradable bags, paper bags. I think it depends on circumstances. And like if we're making plastic from cornstarch, potato, whatever, you can make it from all sorts of things, but then, as people have pointed out, but then you're growing plastic when there's a shortage of food in the world. So then we don't want fields full of things that we're growing to make into plastic when people are going hungry. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it needs to be a bit of everything. There isn't just one answer. There needs to be lots of answers depending on the circumstances.
Thank you so much for that. So for pet owners at home, most people watching this have got a dog, for example.
Yes.
A lot of people have cats. In a nutshell, what can people do to make a difference for plastics?
Well, my big bugbear with dog owners is plastic poo bags.
Plastic poo bags.
And when I do my litter pick, I have picked up so many poo bags, and it really annoys me. And you see them hung in the tree.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get biodegradable poo bags. How long they take to biodegrade, I'm not quite sure. I think it's still quite a long time. But a lot of them aren't biodegradable. And I've seen poo bags in the hedges hung up, and then in the wind they've blown against, they've ripped, so the poo has come out, and then you've got a little bit of plastic then eventually is going to blow, get into the ocean, get into the rivers, so you're not really helping. So what I would say, I do like this idea of stick and flick. Have you heard that?
No.
If it's in an area where nobody's going to tread on it, or children aren't going to put their hands in it, and they've done it somewhere, just get a stick and flick it under a hedge, where in a couple of weeks it's gone, hasn't it?
Yes.
But if it's in an area where somebody might tread in it, children might touch it, put it into a biodegradable bag and take it home with you. Please take it home with you. Don't leave it in the environment. You are littering the environment with plastic, and that's, to my mind, it's worse than the dog poo.
Yes, I completely agree with you there. You were talking about how you started with collecting litter on the beach.
That's right. We were doing the 2-minute beach clean, but we would spend about an hour doing it because it's addictive. When you're picking it up and there's some more and there's this, and we would come back with reams of it. But then I started to think, we need to be picking it up everywhere, because I learnt through doing my campaign and reading about it that actually most of the plastic that is in the ocean is coming from inlands. About 70% is from people littering, and then it gets into the drains, it gets into the rivers, it blows in the wind. If you think about a plastic bag here and it catches the wind, it's like a parachute.
Yeah.
It's like a balloon, and it can travel for miles and miles, and that plastic bag is going to be there for hundreds of years. So sooner or later, if nobody picks it up and puts it in a bin or recycles it, it's going to end up in the ocean. And then sooner or later in that ocean, it's going to end up in the stomach of a turtle or a whale or a dolphin, or it's going to tangle up. It's going to tangle up some creatures. I've seen pictures of baby otters, sea otters, tangled up in plastic bags, and the mother's trying to get it off them. It's heartbreaking. So
if people watching this would like to support Do It for David,
yeah,
how can they get involved?
Well, they can follow our Facebook page. The easiest way to find it is go to our website, which is www.doitfordavid.org.uk, and there's a link to our Facebook page. And at the moment, my daughter is doing fantastic post every day because it's Plastic Free July.
Yes.
Telling people, giving them a tip on what they can do to reduce their plastics. We share posts from other organisations that are also trying to address the problem, and Greenpeace and those kinds of people. So we're sharing ideas. Sometimes we put funny little videos on. Sometimes people send us their pictures of that they maybe made something themselves. So like you can make your own dog food, your own dog treats, you can make your own cleaning fluids. So people can share those ideas. They can share pictures of what they've picked up. And it's just about getting the message out there, sharing ideas and supporting one another. Because sometimes you can feel a little bit alone in this. I know there have been some people who've said to me, I've been picking up litter and plastic for ages and I thought I was the only one doing it, and now I can see I'm not the only one. Or I've been reducing my plastic and people thought I was mad, but now they understand why I'm doing it. So it's just a way of feeling supported, really, and to get ideas.
Thank you. So I hope you've enjoyed that video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll be back again next week. Bye.
Bye.